A public apology. Looking out over the East River from my jail cell and still running for public office, I realize I have taken several actions in my life for which I owe public apologies. Once I won a supermarket sweepstakes even though my brother's cousin was a box boy in that very store. I would like to apologize to Safeway Food Incorporated and its employees. I would like to apologize to my family who has stood by me, and especially to my wife Karen. A wiser and more loyal spouse could not be found. When I was 21, I smoked marijuana every day for 1 year. I would like to apologize for the next 15 years of anxiety attacks and drug-related phobias, including the feeling that when Ed Sullivan introduced Wayne and Schuster, he was actually signaling my parents that I was high. I would like to apologize to my wife Karen, who still believes in me, and to the Marijuana Growers Association of Napa Valley, and to its affiliates for any embarrassment I may have caused. I would also like to mention a little incident that took place in the Holiday Inn in Ypsilanti, Michigan during that same time. I was lying in bed in room 342 when I began counting ceiling tiles. Since the room was square, it was an easy computation, taking no longer than the weekend. As Sunday evening rolled around, I began to compute how many imaginary ceiling tiles it would take to cover the walls and floor of my room. When I checked out of the hotel, I flippantly told the clerk that it would take 1,494 imaginary ceiling tiles to fill the entire room. 2 weeks later, while attempting to break the record for consecutive listenings of American Pie, I realized I had included the real tiles in my calculation of imaginary tiles. I should have subtracted them from my total. I would like to apologize to the staff of the Holiday Inn for any inconvenience I may have caused, to the wonderful people at Universal Ceiling Tile, to my wife Karen, and to my 2 children whose growth is stunted. Several years ago in California, I ate my first clam and said it tasted like a gonad dipped in motor oil. I would like to apologize to Bob and Betty's Clam Fiesta, and especially to Bob, who I found out later only had 1 testicle. I would like to apologize to the waitress June and her affiliates and the DePaul family dog who suffered the contents of my nauseated stomach. There are several incidents of sexual harassment I would like to apologize for, including: in 1992, I was interviewing one Miss Anna Floyd for a secretarial position when my pants accidentally fell down around my ankles as I was coincidentally saying, "Ever seen one of these before?" Even though I was referring to my new pocket tape memo taker, I would like to apologize to Ms. Floyd for any grief this misunderstanding might have caused her. I would also like to apologize to the pocket tape people, their affiliates, and to my family who has stood by me. I would also like to apologize to International Hardwood Designs, whose floor my pants fell upon. I would especially like to apologize to my wife Karen, whose constant understanding fills me with humility. Once in Hawaii, I had sex with a 102-year-old male turtle. It is hard to argue that it was consensual. I would like to apologize to the turtle, his family, the Kahala Hilton Hotel, and the 100 or so diners at the Hilton's Outdoor Cafe. I would also like to apologize to my loyal wife Karen, who had to endure the subsequent news item in the Also Noted section of the Santa Barbara Woman's Club Weekly. In 1987, I attended a bar mitzvah in Manhattan while wearing white gabardine pants, white patent leather slippers, a blue blazer with gold buttons, and a yachting cap. I would like to apologize to the Jewish people, the State of Israel, my family who has stood by me, and my wife Karen, who has endured my 17 affairs and 3 out-of-wedlock children. I would also like to apologize to the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People for referring to its members as colored people. My apology would not be complete if it didn't include my new wife Nancy, who is of a pinkish tint, and our 2 children, who are white-colored. Finally, I would like to apologize for spontaneously yelling the word savages after losing $6,000 on a roulette spin at the Choctaw Nation Casino and Sportsbook. When I grew up, the usage of this word in our household closely approximated the Hawaiian aloha, and my use of it in the casino was meant to express, "until we meet again." Now, on with the campaign. Changes in the memory after 50. Bored? Here's a way the over 50 set can easily kill off a good half hour. 1. Place your car keys in your right hand. 2. With your left hand, call a friend and confirm a lunch or dinner date. 3. Hang up the phone. 4. Now look for your car keys. Ready? The answer is, your car keys are in your right hand. The lapses of memory that occur after 50 are normal and in some ways beneficial. There are certain things it's better to forget, like the time Daddy once failed to praise you, and now, 40 years later, you have to count the tiles in the bathroom first in multiples of 3, then in multiples of 5, and so on until they come out even, or else you can't get out of the shower. The memory is selective, and sometimes it will select 1956 and 1963, and that's all. Such memory lapses don't necessarily indicate a more serious health problem. The rule is, if you think you have a pathological memory problem, you probably don't. In fact, the most serious indicator is when you're convinced you're fine, and yet people sometimes ask you, why are you here in your pajamas at the Kennedy Center honors? Let's say you have just called your best friend Joe and invited him to an upcoming birthday party, and then minutes later, you've called Joe back to invite him again to the same party. This does not mean you are losing it, or not playing with a full deck, or not all there, or that you're eating with the dirigibles, or shellacking the waxed egg, or looking inside your own mind and finding nothing there, or any of the demeaning epithets that are said about people who are peeling an empty banana. It does, however, mean that perhaps Joe is no longer on the list of things that you're going to remember. This is Joe's fault. He should have a more memorable name, such as El Elegante. Sometimes it's fun to sit in your garden and try to remember your dog's name. Here's how. Simply watch the ears while calling out pet names at random. This is a great summer activity, especially in combination with Name That Wife and Who Am I? These games actually strengthen the memory and make it simpler to solve such complicated problems as, is this the 6th time I've urinated this hour or the 7th? This, of course, is easily answered by tiny pencil marks applied during the day. Note to self. Write article about waxy buildup. If you have a doctor who is over 50, it's wise to pay attention to his changing memory profile. There is nothing more disconcerting than patient and healer staring at each other across an examining table and wondering why they're there. Watch out for the stethoscope being placed on the forehead or briefcase. Watch out for greetings such as, hello, you. Be concerned if while looking for your file, he keeps referring to you as one bad boy. Men should be wary if, while examining your prostate, the doctor suddenly says, I'm sorry, but do I know you? There are several theories that explain memory problems of advancing age. One is that the brain is full. It simply has too much data to compute. Easy to understand if we realize that the name of your third-grade teacher is still occupying space, not to mention the lyrics to Volare. One solution for older men is to take all the superfluous data swirling around in the brain and download it into the newly large stomach, where there is plenty of room. This frees the brain to house relevant information like the particularly troublesome days of the week. Another solution is to take regular doses of ginkgo biloba, an extract from a tree in Asia whose memory is so indelible that one day it will hunt down and kill all the humans that have been eating it. It is strongly advised that if one is taking ginkgo biloba, to label the bottle memory pills. There is nothing more embarrassing than looking at a bottle of ginkgo biloba and thinking it's a reliquary for a Spanish explorer. So in summary, waxy buildup is a problem facing all of us. Only a good strong cleanser used once or twice a month will save us the humiliation of that petrified yellow crust on our furniture. Again, I recommend an alcohol-free polymer-based cleanser applied with a damp cloth. Good luck!